We have the Cleveland Browns facing the Dallas Cowboys in Ohio. This is your Week 1 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start off with the Cleveland Browns because they are the home team. Last season was a very weird, interesting, but successful season at the same time. This team had so many injuries. Deshaun Watson would have a great game against the Baltimore Ravens in the second half, but that would be the last game that he would play of last season, because he'll be out for the rest of the season dealing with a shoulder injury. Nick Chubb got injured early in the season against the Steelers with a freak knee injury. That's his second time having that injury. Nick Chubb is out for this game, and he's going to be out for the first 4 weeks of the brand new season. When I look at this Browns team, they're not a bad football team. The national media, they're really sleeping on the Cleveland Browns. They are a top-tier team in the AFC. With or without Deshaun Watson. We saw that last season. They made the NFL playoffs with Joe Flacco starting games on the back half of the season. Now, we get that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is their backup quarterback. Then it's Jameis Winston. We'll see if those guys have to come in and play for the rest of the season. But right now, they have Deshaun Watson. I'm concerned about Deshaun Watson for the rest of this season. He hasn't played much football in the last couple of years. The last time we saw him play a full season, he had 33 passing touchdowns to 7 interceptions. And at that time, Bill O'Brien was still a head coach in the NFL. The key to victory for the Cleveland Browns in this game on the offensive side is to test the Cowboys out in the trenches. Jedrick Wills Jr. is out for this game. He missed a good portion of last season as well. He's still recovering from that knee injury. But you had 2 tackles that stepped up big time. DeJuan Jones looked like a franchise tackle at the right tackle position, and Jack Conklin is questionable for this game as well. James Hudson is expected to start at the left tackle position. He looked very good. The Browns offensive line is a very good offensive line. You have Joe Bitonio at the left guard position. I like Ethan at the center position and Wyatt Teller as well at the right guard position. You have to run the football in this game. The Dallas Cowboys in the past have not been able to fare well against stopping the run. Now they have better defenders now to go out there and help them out in that department, and a better defensive coordinator as well. I'll talk about that when I get more into the Dallas Cowboys. But the Cleveland Browns have to go out there and attempt to run the football. Jerome Ford came in last season when Nick Chubb went down, and he looked very good. You also have Pierre Strong as well. You no longer have Kareem Hunt. You don't need Kareem Hunt. He did not look the same last season. He's definitely taken a step back in terms of explosiveness. You also have Deontay Foreman. It's going to be very interesting to see how Kevin Stefanski tries to go out there and run the football. One thing I do not want to see him do is just force the passes with Deshaun Watson. I still think that a franchise quarterback is there with Deshaun Watson. You can call me crazy. His numbers haven't been that good. He missed a lot of time because of things that happened off the field and due to injuries as well. But when he has been on the field, the interceptions haven't all been his fault. And the Cleveland Browns offense is better when he's on the field. So don't sleep on Deshaun Watson in this game. He can still carry them over the hump. He did that last season against one of the best defenses in the NFL against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't understand why the national media is trying to make it seem like Deshaun Watson is a bottom tier quarterback. That's far from the case. Not to say that he's a top 5 or top 10 quarterback anymore, but he can still go out there and he can make some big time throws inside and outside the pocket. But he is coming off of that shoulder injury as well. So you have to take that into account. The Cleveland Browns wide receivers, they're very good. Amari Cooper is facing off against his old team in the Dallas Cowboys. They traded him to the Browns for a late round pick. And Amari Cooper has been a phenomenal wide receiver since that trade. And he was even a good, reliable wide receiver with the Dallas Cowboys. But you know how that goes. They drafted CeeDee Lamb. That was a long-term replacement. And the Dallas Cowboys receivers, they're pretty good as well. But Amari Cooper, he's a true number 1 wide receiver. Get him going early. You have a brand new wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy, who is coming over from the Denver Broncos. That kid has been in quarterback hell and terrible offensive play calling hell as well. His last season with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, it wasn't terrible. He did have some big time drops here and there, but he could be a very good number 2 to number 3 option. And he's not going to even be the number 2 option with the Cleveland Browns. That is going to be David Njoku. David Njoku was one of the better receiving tight ends last season in the NFL. Granted, majority of his success came with Joe Flacco, but he showed a lot of signs of having a good connection with Deshaun Watson as well. And you also have Elijah Moore. You have good skill position players, especially the wide receiving position. But the one thing that bothers me that Kevin Stefanski may get too pass heavy in this game. The one thing the Dallas Cowboys have been very good at in the past is getting to the quarterback with Micah Parsons. And due to the injuries on the offensive line, just because those backups played very good last season doesn't mean that that can translate over to this season. So just be very conscientious with that. Run the football, get Deshaun Watson going early in the game as well, but ease him into it. Don't force those passes. And it also comes down to the offensive line protection. You have to look out for Micah Parsons and Marshawn Nealon as well. Marshawn Nealon may just be a rookie, but he can go out there and stop the run, and he can push the pocket as well. And they also have DeMarcus Lawrence on that side. So they have a lot of beasts on the front seven and in that interior of the defense for the Dallas Cowboys, especially for the middle linebackers that they have. When I look at the defense for the Cleveland Browns, this is their strong suit in the NFL playoffs. They did not fare out too well against CJ and the Houston Texans, but their defense was beat up as well. Grant Delpit missed a lot of time last season. We know that Denzel Ward is a very good cornerback. He's dealt with concussion issues in the past, and you do worry about that. It was a report that came out that the Cleveland Browns are very worried about him and his concussions over the last couple of years. He's suffered up to 5 concussions now, and he is still a young football player. But with that being said, in their first season last season underneath Jim Schwartz, he had them as one of the best defenses in the NFL. You couldn't even argue it. They were right there with the Baltimore Ravens in terms of takeaways and just taking over games. You saw what they did against the San Francisco 49ers last season. And one thing that is a constant in the NFL, defenses usually translate over from year to year. The Cleveland Browns can get after the quarterback. They have one of the best pass rushers in the league in Myles Garrett. He is phenomenal. You also have Zadarius Smith as well, who can get to the quarterback. You may look at his sack numbers, say the sack numbers aren't that high. Look at the pressure rate. It is still high for him. He is still a very good football player. Davlin Tomlinson and Shelby Harris, they can both go out there and stop the run. The Dallas Cowboys running backs aren't the best running backs to have. You look at Ezekiel Elliott. He's behind his prime. You look at Dalvin Cook. I believe that he's behind his prime, but he did not get the best opportunities with the New York Jets or even with the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be starting Rico as running back by committee. One thing that the Cleveland Browns have to do is go out there and stop the run, and they can do that with their base front seven. You also have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who I expect to give a guy like Jake Ferguson a lot of problems in coverage. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah did a hit job on Christian McCaffrey and also George Kittle as well. So you have one of the better linebackers in the NFL that can make plays in space. He can tackle in space. He can cover tight ends. He can cover wide receivers across the middle of the field. They have to be intense in this game. They played a lot of press man coverage last season. I expect for them to do the same thing here. Their secondary, they're fully loaded. Denzel Ward is expected to play in this game. He's fully healthy. Greg Newsome is a very good cornerback as well. But Martin Emerson Jr., he was their best cornerback last season. And he's been their most consistent corner since he's been drafted with the Cleveland Browns. So go out there and play press man coverage. Watch out for CeeDee Lamb over the top. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best wide receivers in the game. But I believe that the Cleveland Browns have the right secondary to go out there and they can make do with those guys and they can handle them very well. It is going to be a very explosive game from both teams, defensively and offensively as well. The linebackers with the Cleveland Browns, besides Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Jordan Hicks, I am a bit concerned about Devin Bush. Devin Bush had a great rookie season with the Steelers. He tore his ACL. He struggled to find a consistent home. He went to the Seattle Seahawks. He was in and out of the lineup. I think that he's a backup at best, but maybe Jim Schwartz sees something that I don't see. Maybe him playing around these defensive guys, it can help elevate his game. But he was a first-round pick for a reason. And like I mentioned before, they also have Grant Delpit and Juan Thornhill. This is a very good Cleveland Browns team, and they're being slept on right now. But let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys because they're getting disrespected a lot as well. They have a brand new defensive coordinator. I'm going to do opposite what I did with the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to start off with the defense first for the Dallas Cowboys. Their defense is not bad. I see a lot of people saying that their defense is no good and the national media, they can't stop the run. You bring back Mike Zimmer. You hope that he can go out there and scheme up better run adjustments. You have DeMarcus Lawrence. He is not known for going back there and sacking the quarterback. He can do that, but he's more so known as a run stopper. You also have Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a very good pass rusher. It's going to be very interesting to see how they line him up on the line of scrimmage. He could play middle linebacker. He could play off-ball and on-ball linebacker at the same time. He is a very good defensive player to have. The secondary with the Dallas Cowboys give me a lot of concern, But at the same time, those players stepped up for when Trayvon Diggs went down last season. Trayvon Diggs is back after tearing his ACL last season. Before he tore his ACL, he was one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He'll give up some big plays here and there, but will also get you some pick sixes as well. They're missing DaRon Bland. This is when I say I'm worried about their secondary. DaRon Bland was phenomenal last season. He was a pick six goon. Did he give up big plays? Yes, he did. But he had more interceptions than he did big plays given up. He is a very good cornerback. He's going to miss time dealing with a foot injury. He's going to miss extensive time. But getting Trayvon Diggs back, that's a great player to have in your secondary. Match him up on Amari Cooper. That's his former teammate. He knows his tendencies. You have Jordan Lewis as well. He has to step up big in this game. Donovan Wilson, I like him a lot at the safety position. You also have Malik Hooker. The one thing about the Dallas Cowboys secondary, no matter who you are on the back end, Coach Harris is going to get you right. Al Harris has been a very good defensive backs coach, and I expect for them to go out there and have a strong outing against the Cleveland Browns wide receivers. Not to say that they're going to just go back there and they're just going to clamp them up for the entire game. I'm not saying that's going to happen for either side because big plays are going to happen. But the Dallas Cowboys defense is better right now than it was last season underneath Dan Quinn. Mike Zimmer is more so known for a complete defense. Dan Quinn was more so known for this. We'll forget about the run here and there. Just go sack the quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys will still get to the quarterback, but they have to go out there and stop the run. Do not let Jerome Ford go out there and dictate this game. Do not allow for Kevin Stefanski to run a lot of motion and to help Deshaun Watson get open reads and let him completely read the defense. Do some bluff blitzes as well with Deshaun Watson. This is a guy that may be rusty. He did not play in the preseason. Neither did Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott did not suffer a shoulder injury and missed the back half of last season. He played all the way through. I'm also on the lookout for Mozzie Smith as well. He's a former first-round pick, has not lived up to that hype. Part of the reason why they drafted him was to go out there and stop the run and push the pocket. He has not been that guy just yet. He's been dealing with some weight concerns. Be very interesting to see what he can do in the middle of this defense. As far as the offense for the Dallas Cowboys, they are complete. I like what they have. They're very inconsistent at wide receiver besides CeeDee Lamb because he's all world. Brandon Cooks is not the same Brandon Cooks that he was a couple of years ago, but you just can't solely leave him in single coverage. He has to be more consistent, especially in this game. Jalen Tolbert, can he be that true number 3 wide receiver that they're looking for? We all know that Kevontae Turpin is a very good returnman. I don't see him being a very strong wide receiver. I could be wrong. You can run some screen plays with him because he's so good with moves after the catch, but he's more so of a return man. Who is going to be that consistent option besides CeeDee Lamb in that receiver room? We know that they have an emerging star at the tight end position. I can't say enough good things about Jake Ferguson. He's very good there. I think that he's going to be very good, especially in the red zone. You have Tyler Guyton, a rookie at the left tackle position. That bothers me because you're going against Myles Garrett and going against Darius Smith as well. 2 very good veteran pass rushers. Myles Garrett could easily go out there and dictate this game if they're not careful with Terrence Steele. And can Terrence Steele make up for what he did last season? He was not that same tackle last season that he was a couple of years ago before he suffered that torn ACL. You have Zach Martin, who is still one of the best right guards in the NFL. Cooper Beebe at the center position. He will be a star, by the way. He will be an all-pro center in due time. Just give him time. He is phenomenal. And if one of the guards do go down, you can put him at the guard position. He's just a phenomenal player to have. And I love that draft pick. You have Tyler Smith as well at the left guard position. The Dallas Cowboys offense should be okay in this game. It's just going to come down from the play calling of Coach McCarthy and the consistent play of Dak Prescott. And by the way, I do feel like Dak Prescott has got a bad rep since the Dallas Cowboys lost that game against the Green Bay Packers in the NFL playoffs. It wasn't all on Dak Prescott. Part of the reason why they fell apart in that playoff game was because their defense was no good. They could not go out there and stop the run. Did Dak Prescott have a lot of head-scratching throws? Yes, he did. But you can help that out with a consistent run game. All the good things that I like about the Dallas Cowboys, the weakest part of their team so far is easily their running back position. Ezekiel Elliott is not the same Ezekiel Elliott he once was. It's part of the reason why the Dallas Cowboys moved on from him a year ago and he went to the Patriots. He's not going to have a bunch of fumbling issues, but he's not going to go out there and get you 5 to 6 yards a carry. He's not that same Ezekiel Elliott. He's slower now. You have Rico, more so the explosive back, a complete running back to have. You have Dalvin Cook as well. Do not be surprised if Dalvin Cook can turn back the clock and he can give you a lot of good carries. This is a guy that has been put on ice over the last couple of years. The Minnesota Vikings, they didn't phase him out the game plan, but they didn't really feature him part of the game plan either because of the weapons that they had on the perimeter. You look at Dalvin Cook, did not get the best opportunity with the New York Jets. Offensive line was terrible. Quarterback play was terrible when Aaron Rodgers went down. Went to the Baltimore Ravens. They already had a consistent running attack before him, so it's hard to integrate him into the system. Not to say that he's going to be their leading running back and he'll have over 1,000 yards rushing, but he's going to be a very valuable running back to have. Right now, I believe that he's more valuable than Ezekiel Elliott. They're going to go running back by committee, so we'll see what happens here. With that being said, this is going to be a tough, physical, gritty football game. Deshaun Watson has missed time. Did not play in the preseason. He's coming off that shoulder injury. But I believe that the Browns defense can give them an edge in this game, and they're playing at home. This is one of those games, this could easily go either way, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm taking the Cleveland Browns to win this game 24-21. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game? The Dallas Cowboys or the Cleveland Browns? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.